This is about defending democracy. This is no longer Democrats versus Republicans. What do you want your kids to believe in? There must be give and take.
This is White Flag with Joe Walsh.
I didn't love the speech, but I don't love State of the Union speeches. I think they're stupid, terribly political and partisan, and meaningless. I've sat on the floor for a couple State of the Unions when I was a member of Congress. It's a show. It's a stage. It's way too political. Look, I'm not a fan of this speech, the State of the Union speech. I wasn't a fan of the speech last night. Look, I'm rooting for Biden. I'm doing everything I can to help make sure Joe Biden is reelected. I thought he yelled. I thought he yelled all the time. I thought all he did was yell. I thought the speech was too long, but stop. None of that matters. Not a word I've just said matters. I was not a fan of that speech last night, but I am all in for Joe Biden because Joe Biden is running against someone who is an existential threat to our democracy. So I was all in for Joe Biden before that speech, and I'm all in for Joe Biden now. He had one line in that speech that is the line of the speech, and it came early on. And by the way, I thought it was great that Joe Biden out of the gate came out and stood up for Ukraine and stood with Ukraine and demanded Republicans support Ukraine right out of the gate. Right out of the gate, Joe Biden called Donald Trump Putin's puppet. He didn't call Trump out by name, but we all know who he was talking about right away out of the gate. Biden called Trump Putin's puppet. That's 100% accurate, and I was damn glad he said it. But Joe Biden had one line early on in that speech that I think was the speech and that I think should be his campaign. Joe Biden said, "You can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your country only when you win." That's it. That's it in a nutshell. This country, we live in a democracy. Every 2 years we have elections. We either win or we lose. Our guy either wins or he loses. Our gal is either victorious or she's not. But we all, our pact with each other is all of us, Republican, Democrat, Independent, our pact with each other is that we all accept that election result, win or lose, because we all love our country, and that election is the heartbeat of our democracy. Every 2 years, we send people to Washington. Every 2 years, we send people to our state capitals. And they represent us, this representative democracy. It's everything. What we do every 2 years, who we send. And we send people sometimes who we don't like. We send people sometimes who we can't stand. But we all accept it. You can't love your country only when you win. Boom. Biden has said that before. I hope he says it a bunch more. Donald Trump and the 70% of Republicans who still believe the 2020 stolen election lie. You cannot love your country if you only love your country when you win. When your guy loses, like your guy lost in 2020, you still have to stand up and say, well, that sucks, but I accept it. And I'm going to work like the devil to get my guy to win in 2 years or 4 years. But I accept it. I accept the election result. Why? Because I love this country. And if you can't say that, if you can't accept the election result when your guy or gal loses, you are not and cannot accept our democracy. And if you cannot accept our democracy, you do not love this country. You just don't. I think that's what this election's about. Defending this democracy, loving this country for what it is. Win, lose, or draw. We love this country. You can't love your country only when you win. Everybody knows what Joe Biden is talking about. It's so important. Have a good weekend. Joe Walsh, White Flag at gmail.com. Joe Walsh, White Flag at gmail.com. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow White Flag with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been White Flag with Joe Walsh.